In today's lesson, I will demonstrate everything you need to know about one-rail kicking systems in pool. Many times we face situations where our opponent plays a perfect safety shot, hiding the cue ball behind another ball. We can't directly hit the next ball and need to use rails to make a contact. So in this case, I will explain step by step how to effectively calculate a one-rail kick shot, helping you win more safety battles. You will have a chance to learn some very effective methods that can be used depending on the arrangement of balls on the table. The first method is very easy to perform, but remember that it can only be used in a specific situation. As you can see, we have a situation that we need to hit ball number 3, which is located really close to the middle pocket, but ball number 4 effectively blocks path to hit this ball directly. Additionally, both balls are aligned on the same parallel line to the long rail. And this is really important information because then we can use this specific system. First of all, we need to measure the distance between the object ball and the cue ball. And in this case, we can see that the object ball is 3 diamonds away from the cue ball. In the next step, we need to divide this distance by 2, and this will give us the midpoint between the balls. After that, we need to imagine a straight line parallel to the short rail, which will indicate a point on the edge of the opposite long rail. And this point on the edge of the long rail is showing us the place where we should to hit the cue ball to make a contact with the object ball. To better visualize this point, it is recommended to perform all activities using your cue stick. However, it is very important to perform all activities very carefully and precisely, because the smallest error in calculations can completely change the final effect. The most important thing to remember is that you should use low speed and a bit of top spin when hitting the cue ball, because then the cue ball will follow the correct path. And this is really important to know that this system only works when both balls are on the same parallel line with the rail where we are hitting the cue ball. So in this case, the distance of the balls from the rails doesn't matter. If both balls are on the same line, then our aiming point will be always halfway between the balls. Of course, this system works on the entire surface of the table, and the only thing we have to ensure is the correct determination of the point of contact with the opposite rail where we need to hit the cue ball. Our situation on the table can be more difficult if both balls will be located away from the rails, and the straight line between these balls is not parallel to the any rail. In this situation, we need to use completely different system than before. If we have both balls in positions like on this graphic, then in the first step you need to imagine a straight line from the center point of the object ball to the edge of the long rail, and this line needs to be parallel to the short rail. And this line will indicate a point on the edge of the long rail, from which in the next step we need to draw another line to the midpoint between the cue ball and the object ball. And finally, in the last step, we need to carefully move this line parallel on the cue ball. And if we do this really precisely, then this line will indicate the final point on the long rail where we need to hit the cue ball to make a contact with the object ball. And again, to make this shot successfully, we need to use low speed with slight amount of top spin. This is really important because amount of spin and speed changes trajectory of the cue ball dramatically after contact with the rail. For example, if we try to play same shot but this time using low spin with high speed, then you can see that we are missing this shot before the object ball. Same situation will be if we apply unintended side spin, which will change the cue ball's trajectory again. Okay, but sometimes we have a situation where we want to pot the object ball which is located in different places on the table, but we don't know how to calculate the correct contact. If we examine the previous situation, then in the first step we need to imagine not the center point of the object ball, but the center point of the ghost ball where we need to hit the cue ball to pot ball number 3. And in the next step, from this point we need to draw again a straight line to the edge of the long rail, which will be parallel to the short rail. And we have again the point on the edge of the long rail, from which we need to draw a line to the midpoint between the cue ball and the ghost ball. We need to move this line parallel on the cue ball. This line will indicate a bit different point on the long rail than before, where we need to hit the cue ball to make a ball number 3. Of course, we can use this system in different situations with different positions of the balls, but we must remember to always take into account that our starting point for the calculation is in the middle point of the ghost ball for this shot. But as I said before, we need to carefully move these lines, because any small mistakes can indicate wrong points, which can result with missed object ball and ball in hand for opponents. Okay, and there is one more system which I need to explain, and this time we have cue ball and the object ball in positions as you can see on this graphic. If we have the object ball located in one of the corner pockets and the cue ball is placed in any different place on the table, then we can use 2-to-1 kicking system. This means that our goal will be to determine the path for the cue ball based on the numbered diamonds on the table. In the first step, we need to number each diamond on both long rails, because we want to hit the cue ball on the long rail. We need to start from the point where is the object ball, and there is point 0. And in the next step, you need to number each next diamond on this long rail, which should have the next full number. After that, you need to number in same order each diamond on the opposite long rail, and again, the point 0 is located in the corner pocket. And in the next step, we need to draw straight lines from each diamond on the left long rail to the diamonds on the opposite long rail, which have values divided by 2. So we need to draw a line from 1 on the left long rail to the 0.5 on the opposite long rail. And consequently, the next line should be placed from second diamond on the left long rail to the first diamond on the opposite long rail. And if we repeat this operation for the next diamonds, then we can see that the line from the fourth diamond on the left long rail to the second diamond on the opposite long rail overlaps the current position of the cue ball. So in this case, we can hit the cue ball exactly on the second diamond to make a contact with the object ball. But this time, to make this shot correctly, we need to use again a bit of center topspin and low speed on the cue ball. And of course, it works the same if we try to use top short rail to make a contact with the object ball, but this time, to calculate the correct point of contact, we need to number both short rails. Okay, but what will happen if the cue ball is placed away from these lines? As you can see, if the cue ball is placed in the center point of the table, then none of the lines match the cue ball's position. So in this case, we need to find another line which will be located proportionally to adjacent lines. And again, this is really important to make all actions very carefully to determine the correct point of contact with long rail. So in this situation, it doesn't matter where is the cue ball and how far away is placed from the rail. We always need to check all track lines from correct diamonds, and if the cue ball will be located onto one of these lines, then we can aim exactly on the point on the rail which is marked by this line. As you can see, executing a one-rail kick shots in pool requires from us an understanding of some really effective kicking systems that we can use in different situations. I hope that you found this lesson helpful, and please consider giving it a thumbs up and share your opinion in the comments. If you enjoy my content, then please consider hitting the subscribe button for more interesting videos. Thanks for watching guys, and as always, see you in the next lesson. Take care.